So, we're going to talk about some of the key words that we're going to find in word problems and how we can express them with inequalities. So, on the left hand side here, you can see that we have x plus 5. There's a number of ways that we might be able to see something like this in a word problem. And these are just a couple of examples. Maybe you see the sum of a number and 5, or 5 more than a number. Pay attention to their more than is actually talking about addition, not an inequality sign. Or maybe we see a number increased by 5, or simply a number plus 5. On the right hand side, we have a less than 7. So again, a couple of ways, not all of the ways, but maybe it says is less than 7, is smaller than 7, or is fewer than 7. Sometimes we have equations, right? We know it's an equation here because there's an equal sign instead of one of the inequality signs. And on the left hand side, we have x minus 3. Again, this is not the entire list of things you might see, but just a couple of them that pop up often. So the difference between a number and 3, right? Difference here is the subtraction. 3 less than a number. Again, pay special attention here. The less than is not the inequality. It's actually saying to subtract. We could see a straightforward, a number minus 3, a number decreased by 3, or 3 fewer than a number. On the right hand side, we have an equal to, so it could say simply equals to, is equal to 2, yields is the same as, or results in. Those are some key words that we see that would mean equal. Now let's look at another example. Here we have 2 times the quantity of x plus 1. So we would have some distribution here that we would have to pay attention to. So this can be represented in a number of ways as well. Here we can say 2 times the sum of a number and 1. We can have the product of 2 and a number plus 1, or 2 multiplied by the quantity of a number and 1. On the right hand side, we have greater than or equal to 4. This could be represented by saying is at least 4 or is no less than 4. There are some other options that may pop up as well, but these are two of the more commonly used ones. So, in your notes, you want to jot down some of these keywords to help you as we look at these word problems later in the unit and turn them into equations and inequalities. So addition, we have altogether, both, some, combined, increase, together, and more than. Notice there's the asterisks around more than because sometimes more than could actually be talking about the inequality. It just depends on where it is in the word problem. For subtractions, we have words like decrease, take away, difference, left, remains, or less than or fewer than. Again, those asterisks are there because sometimes those may actually imply the inequality that needs to be used. Again, it just depends on where it is in the word problem. For multiplication, we can see things like product of times as much or twice. And that twice would imply that we are multiplying by 2, right? We could see even triple. That would mean we were multiplying by 3. For division, we have words like evenly, split, every, out of, ratio, and quotient. Now, let's take a look at how we would determine the sign in our equation or inequality. So equal, that's what we're probably the most familiar with. We have things like is, gives, results in, becomes, makes, is the same, and yields. For is less than, right, not less than, just is less than, we could say is under, is below, shorter, is fewer than, or beneath. Now when we add that equal to, so now we're going to include that value, now we have things like at most, maximum, or is no more than. For is greater than, we're going to kind of see the opposite of the is less than, is more than, above, over, greater than, exceeds. And when we add in that equal to, We're going to see the opposite of the less than or equal to. Not at most, but at least. Not maximum, but minimum. Not is no more than, but is no less than. So those are some of the key words that you would see in word problems. And in the next video, we're going to actually write our own and solve them.